Hello and welcome back to the Armchairs view. Joining me this week is Chalky and Moy. As you can see, we're a man down as Hickers, I believe, is celebrating his mother's birthday. So, happy birthday, Mother Hickers.
Happy birthday, Mother Hickers.
Happy birthday, Mother Hickers, yeah.
You're welcome, Jack. Right, just starting this week, we're going to touch a little bit on Arsenal because they seem to have made, in my opinion, a couple of smart signings. Potentially next year or next season, they should be looking to win the league again.
Well, we say that every season. Every season we say that, isn't it? That's the problem. Every season you say they should be looking to win the title, and every season they fall, to be honest, well short, if realistically.
Well, I think, in my opinion, a lot of their problems have come from not having a striker, and they seem to have sorted that out now. It looks like they're going to get Gyökeres.
Yeah, you could. He's certainly a higher calibre striker they've had for a long time. They haven't had a decent striker.
If he gets injured, then though he's back to square one.
They do need a backup.
They got Jesus, haven't they? But I'd never thought he was good enough. Really.
He's always injured, isn't he?
He is always injured. He's all right. He's not bad for a backup. But there's a reason City got rid of him happily.
Do you think Gyökeres can make a difference? Because I know he's played in England before, but
I don't know a whole lot about him, to be honest. But
he's got a hell of, I don't know the record, but I know it's some crazy record for Sporting. But Premier League's a whole different league, and it's so much more physical.
But he because he has played in it before, will give him at least an insight. It might not take in the very few players that come into the Premier League and hit the ground running. I mean, bar your exceptions of Haaland and stuff.
Coventry, isn't it? So last season he played 33 matches in the Portuguese league, scoring 39 goals and 7 assists.
Yeah, like I say about being physical, but that's probably one of his better attributes.
It's the Portuguese league, though.
Yeah. It's like Darwin Núñez looked great in the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
And look how that turned out.
How many goals has Darwin got per season?
Well, he's not got. I don't know what he's got this
year. Has he got past 5?
He's that's the season before he did, but this season he's not really featured too much. Hence why he could be off.
He did score 6 and 8 in the Champions League though, which I'd say maybe a better idea on how he's going to do.
6 and 8 games. Was that out of the
6 goals, 8 games?
Yeah, how many games are in the league phase though?
Well, they were doing alright, weren't they?
What, and there's 6 games in the league phase, is it? 8,
I think.
Is it 8? So they only got out. They didn't get out of the league, the Champions League.
They were doing alright when they had Almroom.
Sorry, I've gone all Dyche.
They were doing alright when they had Almroom, and then as soon as he left, Sporting sort of just collapsed.
So did United.
Yeah.
A lot of teams. But yeah, I mean, 6. Who were they against? That's the thing. The Champions League has got such a variety of teams. You score, you play 8 games against Real Madrid, score 6 goals. That's fantastic. You play 8 games against young boys and score 6 goals. It's not.
To be fair, with the structure of the Champions League last season, you would have at least played a couple.
Yeah,
of the
you would have.
kids,
Yeah, you'd have played normally. I think they tried balance. You played two of the toppers.
I think it's still still seeded a bit, isn't it? But just not. Like I say. It's more games, isn't it? So
you had some good games in the league phase, didn't you? I mean, you played. Did you play Real Madrid? Am I getting that wrong? You did.
1-2.
City had.
We played Madrid at the right time though, because they were sort of just still finding their feet with Mbappe, and
they were just poor in the Champions League. For a Real Madrid side that usually flourish in the Champions League, they were poor the whole Champions League. Really, they were bottom of the automatic qualifiers, weren't they?
They were near the bottom, yeah.
Near of the automatic qualifiers. It was still in the playoff things, but they were for them. That's poor, especially in the Champions League.
So, do you think if Gyökeres comes in, I hope I'm saying that right. If Gyökeres comes in,
I don't think he's watching, mate. Don't worry about it.
He will be. Chalky, if you think he comes in, hit the ground running, do you think they'll challenge you to win the league?
No, I don't think so. I think, especially if they go on and sign people like Madueke as well, like. You got to go for a bit higher than that. Like, how much money have they spent on Chelsea Deadwood now? Like, who have you had now? You've had David Luiz, Jorginho,
Kepa,
Havertz. Havertz done alright for Arsenal.
I was going to say actually, Jorginho I thought did alright for Arsenal. He wasn't a first time starter, but he was in and out of the squad, and when he was there, he did a decent shift.
We've had a Czech.
Czech, I don't think he again was still class when he was there. He was class wherever he was.
He was on his way out though, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was on his way out, but he was still a good keeper.
Yeah,
he was still a good keeper.
That's
City.
Yeah, that's City Dev as well, isn't it? Like you got
the City B team.
Yeah,
I think
it's Pep's hand me down to Arteta.
We mentioned last week, didn't we? I think it was 6 players in the last 7 transfer windows. It looks like they're about to sign Madueke now, so that'd be 7 and 7.
50 million as well.
that's an English tax, I think, as well, because he counts as homegrown, doesn't he? Because he's English, so I think that's that English tax.
He's another one of them players. It's like he's quick and he can beat a man, but I think he's just got a bit of selfishness about him. And I think if he could find that end product or that end assist or whatever, he would be quite a good player. But I don't know if because he's still young.
Do you think he'll get better as a backup though? Because obviously he's coming in.
Backup for Saka.
Yeah, so he's not
Do
going
you not think they might even try him on the left instead of Martinelli? Because he's injury prone.
I think the left is a big problem for them. I think that's where I think they needed a striker, a left-sided winger, and a midfielder, which they.
I see so many Arsenal fans putting like Rodrigo in that team for them already, but I think that's so far off right now. There's going to be a hell of a lot because he's on the bench again tonight, 5th time in a row. Like he's going to go, but I think he will be a hell of a signing for someone.
I think he'd be a good fit at Arsenal. I don't know if they'll get him. I think he'd be a good fit. I mean, he'd then be playing where he wants to, Champions League, challenging for Premier League.
I've seen him linked with PSG.
I don't think they'll be able to get him. They're not. He'll want to go to a club that's challenging for every single trophy that they play in.
You could argue Arsenal.
You could. They could challenge for any, not all. How
many clubs in world football challenge for all of them?
But that's where he's at the moment, isn't he? He's challenging for
Liverpool this year were formidable in the league. Lost in the FA Cup to Plymouth.
Yeah, they're going to go out. I'm not saying like every time they get into the final, but he'll be one of the times that they could win. They could do a double or a triple. I can't see, especially with the squad they went out. I couldn't see Arsenal doing any more than winning one trophy.
Yeah, but if they win the Champions League or Premier League to start with.
Oh yeah, it's a step in the right direction. I don't think he'll go there. I think he'll want to go somewhere where he's.
Well. Sorry.
So that is a day I dread. I hope they don't win anything.
Why?
I just can't.
Welcome to our world, Harry. Welcome to our world.
I think it's just obviously you go on Twitter. I think it's mainly Twitter. If I'm honest with you, you get every fan base is annoying on Twitter. I suppose it's
because all the Twitter's just full of the loudmouths. Yeah. All you hear is the people that shout the loudest and got the least to say. So they all just come on there screaming their opinions.
A lot of Arsenal fans so entitled. But then, like I say...
there's lots of entitled fans out there. We could do a whole podcast on that.
I don't think X, as it's now called, is actual reality and how most fans feel, is it? You just, like Mike says, you get loudmouths on there. You get people trying to get clicks. You're just saying nonsense, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I say I try and stay off there, but I do.
I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people vent on there as well, don't they? Go on there and vent, have a scream at the world, blah blah blah.
You see some
blah, blah, blah,
absolute ridiculous stuff on there as well, though. I know we're going on a bit of a tangent, but X probably isn't the best place to be spreading football news. No. Although follow us on X if you haven't already. We'll put some decent stuff out there. Going back to Madueke at Arsenal, sorry. Do you think he can bridge a gap with... So when Saka went out this year, they dropped right off, didn't they?
Yes, massively. He's by far their most effective player going forwards. The thing I don't understand about some wingers is if you've got that natural pace and to dribble, why can't they get the quality? Players like Theo Walcott and Aaron Lennon, less so. He had a really good delivery on him sometimes. But the players are such speed... Why does it take so long to work on a delivery? Surely that if you're working on training every day, it's easier to improve a cross or improve a pass or improve shooting than it is to get quicker. If I went to the gym every single day, I would never get as fast as someone who's like Theo Walcott. Not even close to him. I mean, his crossing is good, but you could improve on your quality of cross so much more than you could knock a second off your sprint.
So did you not rate Theo Walcott?
Well, he was a good player. He was a very good player, but he always had a poor. Cross on him.
So I'm just checking how many assists he got. I don't agree with that. Walcott would not have played at Arsenal. Just seeing how many assists he's got, so I might stop talking.
You might stop talking?
But he would not have played for Arsenal so long if he wasn't an effective player. So he got...
I did say he wasn't effective. He could have been, because of how quick he was, he could beat players. He could be 4 hours behind and then overtake them.
But how many players that are that quick generally have great delivery? Because I could probably name you 5, 6, 7 players that are actually
that's what
I mean. That's the difference. They should be working on that and getting better
speed. At that. Running that. Look at the best players delivery who have the best delivery side. You've got Beckham, wasn't that quick. De Bruyne isn't that quick. Alexander
He's a centre mid.
Who?
But
what I'm saying is people running at pace. Generally, they're not going to have the time of the.
But you
can still hit an area. The amount of times that ball goes over the crossbar or way over. I know you running at speed. I know it is harder. But sometimes there's just then what you do is once you've beaten that player, then you step inside, then you can slow up and then cross it in. Because you take that extra step to slow up. Because as soon as you're in front of them, they have to get all the way around you.
Walcott in 397 appearances, 135 off the bench of them. He scored 80 goals and got 56 assists.
Yeah, he was. A lot of his assists were great. I mean, that one he got against you boys, where he minced 4 players and rolled it across to a Bonglahor.
He didn't.
He's so quick, no one could get near him.
Rolled it to who?
Bonglahor. Not Bonglahor. Adebayor. Sorry, wrong name. Rolled it Adebayor. Yeah. But no, yeah, he's so many times he was just so quick, people couldn't get near him, and he would just be able to break lines, and then he'd get to the point where his pass was easy. Like for that goal, it was just he rolled it across, and I think it was Skirtle right behind him. He falls over and taps.
I just think players running at that speed, they're not going to be able to pick out. They should potentially be able to put it into an area, but potentially they are putting it into that area, and people aren't quick enough to keep up with them. If you look at Adama Traore, his delivery's terrible.
He's not a good player.
He's played for Barcelona.
He played for Barcelona.
Aston Villa. He's played Middlesbrough. He played for Fulham, Wolves.
Other than Barcelona, none of those teams are he's a good player
And he's playing in the Premier League.
Yes, obviously, for Premier League standard, he's still not that good. I wouldn't have him because his delivery's not good enough. I honestly think he'd be better as a fullback. If he'd have been shifted to fullback 5 or 6 years ago,
maybe a wing back
or something. Yeah, just.
But do you not see the point I'm making? I think players that are that quick. Can you name me any player that's quick who can put in a great delivery?
Well, probably a few of them. Depends. Mostly fullbacks, to be honest.
You got Salah last year. He got top assists.
But how many of his goals were crosses? Assists were crosses. He done some amazing passes. Yeah. Threading them through. How many has he got it to the byline and put it in?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Surely in training, then you go to the point and go right. Learn to have 3 areas you hit in your cross. Don't have to aim for someone. You hit that area, and then you go. Then your strikers get to that area.
What if they are hitting that area? And so say you've got
the strikers should
hypothetically then say you've got Aaron Lennon running down the wing.
Yeah.
Putting a ball in to Peter Crouch. Peter Crouch, great in the air, great finisher. He is not keeping up with Aaron Lennon. So if they are getting there,
you don't need to keep. It's not like he's sprinting the full length of the halfway line, is he?
Yeah, potentially they can.
They can.
If the ball goes in and then ball goes in from behind.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, they're standing up on the edge of the 18-yard box, darting to the byline and crossing in. The striker doesn't need to be there because the centre backs are slightly deeper anyway.
I think what you find is with wingers that are that quick, they get in and around the box, stop, slow the man down, and then go again to then put the ball in because they know they have to get players in the box.
Yeah, I don't dispute that. That's not one more point.
But by that time, defenders are also set.
You still at that level, being this good, you should be able to put a ball in at full speed.
The best wingers that are quick tend to be goal scorers
nowadays. Yeah,
assists.
I think crossing there's not many teams that cross the ball you obviously do get it in the game still, but it's so much. It's more technical now, isn't it? It's more playing around, and you got to find that pass in the box rather than just lump it and hope for the best sort of thing. Obviously, you get that still. Like I say, it's just not.
I think
common.
Strikers aren't as necessarily as big. They're more. They'll put themselves on the shoulder of a defender and then peel off, won't they?
Footballers in general though now, it's more athletes, aren't they? Rather than
they're a lot more athletic.
You'll never catch people.
I think the big man will come back soon. I don't think it'll be long because football goes in cycles, doesn't it? And I think soon you'll get 2 men up top again, a big man and a little man, which is how I quite like watching football. Get it up to a big man, knock it down, and then play off that. Football is much more, and again,
Crouch and Defoe the best at it.
But it's a lot more interesting, isn't it? Football, if you actually go. I know City are a great team, but it's pass, but it's not as enjoyable to watch.
No, I get so bored watching City.
I think if you go back 15 years, so look at that Barcelona team of 09-010. I know they passed the ball around a lot.
They done something with it.
Exactly, and it was always exciting.
They had a strike force though, 09 and 10. I can't remember exactly who it was. Obviously, it was Messi. It was 09 and 10. Was that Henri?
Yeah, I think they had Messi, Henri. Was it
Eto?
I don't think it was Eto. I might be wrong. I thought Pedro was who I thought, and then I think David Villa.
I thought Pedro mainly came off the bench for that Barca team.
Shall we have a look? You guys keep talking about it, and I'll have a look.
But
we'll do the seamless.
They obviously had the players to do it. They had Iniesta, Xavi, and I think Busquets.
Yeah,
was he there? Because I know
Piqué,
Puyol. That were two, and they had obviously Piqué could play out from the back very well. But Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, that's the way Pep likes to play. I mean, he's grew up with it, didn't he? It was Cruyff at Barca who taught it to him, because he was the one there who taught that Barca team, and that's how he liked his little total football, fluid football, and then that's obviously so
I
he.
think at one point he had Mourinho, Pep, and there's someone else there as well.
They actually
Mourinho
had,
play for him.
Yeah, he's in the same sort of like team, and
They had Zlatan that year. So Pedro was his first year in the team. They also had Zlatan.
He's an athlete. He's a big man.
Bojan, Zlatan, obviously Messi, Henry, Pedro. So I don't think Zlatan played all that much, did he? I remember him making that comment, "You've got a Ferrari, you drive it like a Fiat," about himself, didn't he? So I think that front three, you had Henry, Messi, Pedro. Bojan, I think, was quite good that year. To be fair to him,
he was very young then, wasn't he? He was people were breaking through very.
Like, he was 19.
Yeah, you do his career in reverse, wasn't it? And it was sensational.
He was 19. Pedro was 22. Henry 32.
Pedro's still playing for Lazio.
What? No, he is 9. Yeah. He scored some incredible goals last season.
He always had a banger in him though, Pedro.
Messi was 22 as well. Zlatan was only 28. But so my point is, I know I've just said I love to see. Not direct football, but a bit more go after team. Last 10 minutes, if you're chasing a game, you're on the edge of your seat a lot more than. I know you can't play like that for 90 minutes, but I don't think Pep's ruined football. I don't think it's as enjoyable to watch at the moment.
I think it's harsh to say he ruined it, considering he's playing the.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say you did. I said it's harsh to say it because some people have said it. A lot of people online say it. Annoyingly, it's harsh to say he's ruined football because. It's not his style of football. He learnt it, from Cruyff when he was at Barca. So to say he's ruined it, it was been around long before him and it'll be around long after.
I don't think anyone's implemented it as well. Because if you look from Sunday League to National League, League 2, League 1, everyone's trying to play out from the back.
Yeah.
That's what was Saints stand for Russell Martin, wasn't
Burnley the year before.
Yeah. It's knowing your style of play and how to work it. I mean, you can't teach it Sunday League. I wouldn't. If I was going to teach my kids a Sunday League, I wouldn't teach them football. I'd teach them 4-4-2 or something like that.
It's great when you're good enough to play it, but teams need to realise if they're not good enough,
just lump it.
Yeah, which is what so many teams like Southampton need to get out of their head. It's arrogance to think you can come to the Premier League and play a style of football that someone else has already mastered.
Especially when they had like Paul and Garnacho up top, like you got the perfect man there to get it, just to lump it up there and just flick it on. Like you might lose it, but
I think that's the difference.
You're not losing it round your box.
I don't think
that's the difference between a good manager, great manager. Because a great manager will know his players and how to play his players, whereas a good manager will want a style of football and try and implement that style and get his team to play that style. And it might work, it might not, but a great manager knows what he's got in his team and how to get the strengths out of him. I think Moyes as well. Frank, we talked about him the other week. Frank does it very well.
That was a downfall. Big Ange. Because he just stuck to his guns.
Yeah, he needed to know
the end.
Yeah.
And then in the Europa League final, he changed it, won a game, and still got sacked.
Yeah.
I think, look, I'm not saying every team should lump it from the back and you shouldn't do it for 90 minutes, but there's definitely points.
Time and place.
Yeah. I think you need to be able to play in 2 or 3 different ways. If you can play the passing game, play the passing game. If you can play the lump it, play the lump it.
If you can combine a bit of the two, and then it will keep teams on their toes. They're not quite sure where you're going to go with it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's some players that they're absolute horrible in a passing team, but as soon as you lump it up to them, like Marouane Fellaini was one of the best controllers with his chest I've ever seen. Everton used to lump it up to way beyond the halfway line.
I think he was underrated playing.
And he just it's so many times I saw him cushion it over his own head and turn, and he instantly you've got the ball in their half with him at the ball at his feet. Admittedly, then he didn't flourish; he just gave it to someone else. But some players,
I don't know, he scored a couple of nice goals from that. To be fair to him,
he was still good with his feet. But it wasn't his strength. His strength was that ball up in the air and it's to his chest, and he was so strong, and he could hold it up. He was a brilliant player at that. And that's what he did, and that's what worked so well for Everton for years. And that's why I say Moyes took him to United, because he knew that's what if he needed it from him, he needed it from him.
I think he was a bit of a scapegoat, because he came with Moyes. He was a bit of a scapegoat for all the.
But once Moyes left, he was still there, wasn't he? So he was still being used.
Loved him.
Yeah, because Mourinho again he suits Mourinho.
Van Gaal, I'm sure every manager played him.
He had a good goal in him.
So Chalky, in your opinion, if Moyes was given a bit more time at United, do you think he'd have made more of a success of it?
No, just not because of Moyes. I think just that club is rotten from the.
But was it at the time?
I don't think you look how
It was
I
the
don't
start.
like to go back to Liverpool, but Klopp before he left, he made sure everything was in place. Like because we had that season before where our midfield was non-existent. He come in, sorted midfield, settled them down, and he's obviously seen it settled now. And then he's left. Like Fergie sort of like left, and obviously too old, and he saw Moyes as his successor, but. I think he didn't leave. I can't remember the squad exactly that he left there now, but I think that was rotten. Away.
The thing is, the team people that left the same time as Fergie, I'm pretty sure didn't Ferdinand leave that same season?
No.
Vidic.
No, he had those players. I'm sure. I'm just getting out now. I'm sure.
I think he might have had Ferdinand for a season because Ferdinand spoke about something like when a manager is if they're on it or not, basically. And he goes, David Moyes would say we're going to focus on such and such, and we're going to double up on him. And he's like, we don't like that. We're Man United. We play. We go to them. We're not focused on the other team. We go to them.
So Ferdinand was still there. Vidic was still there.
Ferdinand was probably, like I say, I think season after.
So I think a lot of them. I think they lost quite a few players.
They're all quite older, aren't they?
So they also had.
It was
Giggs.
an aging team.
Again, Giggs must have been so old.
Yeah, I think Giggs and Scholes left. Only a season left, and then Giggs, Scholes came back, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Scholes then retired again with Ferguson, so he wasn't in this squad. But I think if you just look, I'm just looking at their squad now. They had De Gea in goal, and then I'll just read you out a selection of their back four. Michael Keane would have been a youngster. Chris Smalling, Johnny Evans, Phil Jones, Antonio Valencia was decent. Ashley Young, Rafael, Fabio. Ever again was getting old.
The thing is that you talk about that team to what they did have.
There's it's a lot of turnover that needs to happen. There was a lot of replacement. Needed to replace the Everest, the Ferdinands, the Vidic, the Carricks, the Scholes, the Giggs. That's a lot of extremely good players to replace.
Yeah, and it
was a big job. It was a big job to take.
I think he shouldn't have gone there. I think he should have waited and been the second or third manager after Fergie.
You can't say no to United, really, can you?
I think he couldn't say no to Fergie. That was him.
No, I understand what you mean. As much as I don't like him, it is a big job. But and like I say, with managers same as players, you don't know if you ever get that opportunity again.
But I don't think he was wrong to take it. I also think potentially at the time his time at Everton had run its course as well. You can't really say, especially if you're the one Fergie's picked after he'd been there for 27 years, was it?
Well, you got to think though, did Fergie notice things going on in the back as well? Because they've got a lot of stuff going on.
I think didn't a CEO or chairman leave at the same time? I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah,
I might have a look, but
I
I'm sure he left
think
at the same time as Ferguson.
That, like you said, with the backroom staff and all this thing, I think where there's been so much turnover since Fergie, managers coming and going fairly frequently for Man United, obviously because they had Fergie for so long. A lot of changeover in players, a lot of almost desperate scrabbling to try and be what they were when Fergie was there. Everything else, like I said, has just dropped. The training elements, the staff, the elements that make a club successful, they've just all dropped away because they're so trying to scrabble to make quick fixes that all this stuff is going wrong. Like when Ronaldo came back and said, the training rounds are outdated. The whole facility
United
is poor.
fans generally say that's down to the Glazers, but potentially it is. But I think you need football people making football decisions, and I'm not sure that's. Yeah. I think that's where they're down for.
They've spent money like Anthony. They've got Anthony. Casemiro's on a big wage. I think that was it. I do like Casemiro, but he's on a big wage for quite an old player now, and it's like they thought that would fix it. And who else? They've had Jordan Sancho.
No, Schweinsteiger come in, didn't they? About 7 or 8 years ago.
But all these players are 80 odd million, and you'd think
Rasmus Højlund. I know he's only young, but 80 million on the striker.
If you saw his record before, it wasn't
great, was it? No. That's what I'm saying. I think if you had a football man, someone who knows football, like City done when their owners went in, I think they had a couple of years where it wasn't going right. They just ripped it up and started again, employed the right people in the right jobs. I think United are slowly starting to do that. I know they took someone from City who was in football operations to run them now. So you may now see United making slightly more sensible decisions.
Yeah.
Whether signing Mbeumo and Kuna are more sensible decisions.
They've got Mbeumo, yeah, have they? I wouldn't say Kuna's a sensible decision. I say it's a risk. He's a skillful player, but he's also temperamental and he loses his head in the Manchester derby, gets sent off, and that's a bit...
Look at United's best players the last 5-10 years out of it. Go back, you had Scholes could lose his head putting in reckless tackles. Roy Keane, I don't need to say anything more. Rooney,
but also,
Ronaldo had his moments.
Thing though, you say that though, but also that team had probably enough to win a game of 10 men still.
I'd also argue that they weren't necessarily lose your head, and like Rooney very rarely actually got. I can't remember him getting a scrap, but he'd do a stupid tackle or something. But you never really see him
losing your head.
Yeah, to a degree. But sometimes when Rooney loses his head, he'd bang a goal in the top corner. Like that goal, I can't remember who he was against. Newcastle smashed it. Remember, every time he's talked, he goes, "I was just so annoyed. I just put my foot through it with as hard as I could, and it went top corner." There's again Roy Keane, loses his head and stuff, but 9 times out of 10 he was sticking up for things or going, just come over, and he was putting himself between that. That was his job.
I think to be right at the top, you need to have that edge.
Yeah,
but you need to know how to use it.
Yeah, I'm not saying Kuno is that top level player, but he's played well for a struggling Wolves team. If he can link up with Fernandes, struggling to think of class players at United now.
That's you've named too many.
But potentially, if Fernandes and Kuno can link up, if they can sign Mbeumo, things will look better for them. But they have a massive job now to try and get from 16th, 17th, fighting
15th.
Well,
he's another one, isn't he? Like
he's
playing his 3 at the back formation, and he's
too stubborn
to that. Yeah, he won't even change
I think
it.
He's lucky. He's lucky not to be in Champions League, because that will give him a season where they could potentially finish, like I say, challenge for it.
Probably gives them no money though.
They've never been short of a bob though. They seem to always pull money from somewhere.
Commercially, they're still massive, aren't they?
Yeah, this shirts, tickets, all these things. They still seem to pull money from somewhere, don't they, to spend it on someone.
But then, you hear obviously you don't know if it's true, but if they won the Europa League, they were not having a ceremony where they were going to have a barbecue or something.
They are
stupid things like that.
So from the outside looking, they seem to be cutting money in the wrong places.
Yeah,
when you've got Anthony on big wages, like say Casemiro, Sancho,
cutting
Rashford,
cutting the kitchen staff and things like that. You hear it, wouldn't you? And you think
they didn't get the tickets today to the start. So I think it's tradition at United that every staff went, and then what's his name, Jim Radcliffe stopped that. So I think Fernandes, your favourite, Mike, actually funded all that staff to go, which. Whatever you think of him as a footballer,
it's a good thing to do. I think that interview with Gary Neville said, "Why don't you raffle off an evening with some of the players? You could spend, instead of cutting 40 grand on things, why don't you raise 40 grand by doing this, this, and this?" And he went, "Well, that's a good idea." Blah blah blah. I'm sorry, but if Gary Neville's got better ideas than you running a club, you shouldn't be running a club.
Well, Gary Neville's running a club, to be fair to him.
Is he running to that works? South, yeah, but
Salford, I think it is actually.
Salford, yeah.
I think, to be Gary Neville's quite
right upset if I say it wrong.
Gary Neville is a very intelligent man, to be fair to him. What I would say is if he's made the United owner look a bit silly in that, potentially don't air it. Because if he's coming across looking like he's... I know it's good for Gary Neville, but...
It was Neville's thing, wasn't it?
I think Neville's going to... Things like that, you got to speak up. Because it's so, your club shouldn't be doing that. Cutting that sort of money from them, just your normal people working day-to-day job, you should not be cutting them sort of.
No, because that's it. You've got players that are on 100 something grand a week, and you cut 40 grand a year,
and they're not performing. It should be them.
Yeah,
it's people's livelihood, isn't it? At the end of the day, because
they're on their 25 grand a year.
I'd love to see players on a more of a performance based contract. 100 grand a week, something to mention. No. You get minimum wage unless you play. Imagine seeing Cristiano Ronaldo on minimum wage if you don't play.
Yeah.
You could. Why are they on so much money anyway? You could easily do it.
They are overpaid, but again, they are
sponsorships over.
Yeah, they deal with a lot as well. They are constantly under the spotlight. I'm not saying that warrants 300 grand a week, but you can't put them on minimum wage.
You definitely could. Of course you could. You could put a footballer on whatever you want. They're playing football at the end of the day. It's not.
You potentially would see more passionate people. You wouldn't see as good as spectacles. Could you see Ben White, for example? Wouldn't be a football player if he was on minimum wage. He'd be some sort of fashion matey. I don't know.
I don't know enough about him to comment on what he'd do if he was on minimum wage. But
one idea I'd love is if Sky Sports every Sunday just played a grassroots game. That would be so
just
good.
Pick it out of a hat.
Yeah. Just turn up and have a grassroots game and watch it. You'd have to cut.
I thought that I'd love imagine an implication we'd have each Premier League football had a raffle where all their fans could pay like 20 quid for a raffle ticket, and what that's pulled out, and that guy has to start 5 games in the season. Imagine just winning off going, who am I going to play against Sunderland in the week? That'd be
imagine that sends a team down though.
So funny. It'd be so
I think
good. One player in 5 games they win. It'd be so good.
I think
imagine
that idea is good though.
Sky Sports 1, and then you got fucking a 10 a.m. kickoff down, I don't know, Green Park.
Yeah,
chaos.
You're showing your age there, Chalky. Sky Sports 1. Haven't been that for a long time, is it? I think that'd be a great idea. Let us know in the comments if you think that's a good idea, and if would people want to play on Sky? I mean,
yeah, I think you get so many. People turn up just because of the cameras.
Yeah, that Sunday League team will get a field 11 players for the first time all season.
The problem I have is obviously I'm quite a keen footballer. I'm not very good, but I quite like playing. When I put on a football top, I do not look great in a football top. So imagine that going out to millions of people.
Yeah, but
I'd still do it.
You might not be the worst though. It's Sunday League at the end of the day.
If you look at Soccer Aid and that Big Zoo, I'm in better shape than him. So
yeah,
not many others, but
I mean, there's debatable, but you know.
You're throwing me now. Yeah, I think we're going back to United. So they've got a lot of work to do now to try and get back. I think they are potentially making smaller steps in the right direction, but I think Jim Radcliffe came out and said they'd go bust, wouldn't they, if they didn't. I can't remember what it was he said. Something that they're going to run out of money.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a ridiculous thing to say.
Stupid. But then, like the next week, they go say they're going to build $1 billion stadium.
Yeah.
You think, well, one minute you're going broke, and the next minute you got the money, $1 billion.
But he was trying to demand government funding for that, wasn't he? And I'm thinking, if you're a billionaire, the Glazers are billionaires. Put your hand in your pocket.
Yeah.
Totally that's why as well I like to see owners that actually have a passion for the club. It's one reason I always loved, obviously going back years now, when we had Bill Kenwright. I know some people didn't like him or have a say, but he loved that club and he would have bled for that club. And that's the kind of person you want in charge. Because yes, maybe he was a bit too particular sometimes about what we're doing, so maybe we lost out and stuff. But he loved that club, and whatever decision he made, he thought was best. 9 times out of 10, especially nowadays, owners make decisions based on financial decisions that, this will get us money, we'll do this. Yeah. We'll sell the ladies team for 200
I think
mil.
The problem with that is he was too emotional for some decisions and made some wrong decisions. I think some of what he's done was really good, some of what he's done was really bad, but I'm not going to speak ill of him. I think he loved Everton, but I think he held on to the club for too long and made some poor decisions, but
maybe, but I'd rather someone make poor decisions because they love the club rather than make poor decisions because they want to make money somewhere else.
Well,
it's a much easier way to watch a team suffer a little bit because
I think Tony Bloom's a Brighton fan, isn't he? And he's obviously running Brighton. He's doing an excellent job at it, so you can do it.
Oh yeah, of course. Like you said, he made some poor decisions, but he made some good decisions.
I think whenever you got someone in charge, though, like you say, whether it's a bad or good decision, like everyone has got different opinions. So like you're gonna have some fans gonna hate you for it, some fans gonna love you for it. Like
you never please everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just got to go with your gut, and then hopefully it works out for the best.
Talking about owners spending too much money, should touch a little bit on Chelsea and the size of their squad. I think they've got about 60 players registered now.
Oh, they've got a lot of players.
Just 60? Or was that the first team?
Yes, I think. To be fair, they've. What would you be thinking now if you were Liam Delap? Because obviously he's coming to be their main striker. João Pedro's just come in, scored 2 brilliant goals last night.
Could he play off the wing though, like replace Madueke?
I don't think he would. He's a central. He was a number 9 for Brian.
Do they go 2 strikers?
Sorry for those watching on YouTube. I'm just checking something because for whatever reason I've just got really paranoid I didn't press record. Don't worry, I did.
And that's on camera now.
Good. You can show that we're not very good at this.
We're live in one take. That's our stick. I'd say for Liam Delap, there's a lot of games that Chelsea will play. They'll play the Champions League, the Europa League, isn't it? They're in
the Champions League.
It is Champions League because they won the conference. They still got the Champions League.
They finished 4th or 5th.
Oh, of course, yeah, they finished 4th table. Yeah, of course. But yeah, they'll play Champions League. They've got FA Cup, Carling Cup. They're doing this now. And then the Premier League, and there's going to be a lot of games. I agree. I said this today to a colleague of mine. I wish they'd have signed João Pedro first because it'd have given us a better chance of signing him. Whether they still would have gone there, but
you still had United looking at him and other clubs.
I think we were second. I think we were second behind Chelsea. I don't think it'd have gone to United.
this day and age, though, you do need.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
do need. I know Chelsea's is probably like taking the piss a bit, but like, you do need a lot of squad depth.
Yeah, but they've got what 4 keepers that would want
Yeah,
to be
they
a
got-
match day squad.
They got a lot. They got a lot of players like to get rid of. Like, and some of them I don't know who they even go to. Like Raheem Sterling, like he is declining massively. Like, is like
He's got to go abroad, I think, isn't he?
abroad, or does he go to a
Portugal might do well.
yeah? But like, Sterling's just one off the top of the head, but without actually, like, their squad is massive, isn't it? Like they probably got like a reasonable 2 to 3 teams, and that will probably compete in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think.
So they got one team to challenge for the Premier League, and then 2 that could survive the
So
Premier
they
League.
got, got centre back. They got Disassi, Badley Shield,
Tosin,
Colwill,
Tosin.
Fofana. That's like 6 straight away, and they're all fairly good.
They're Premier League standard at
Yeah.
minimum, aren't
I
they?
expect Badley Shield and Disassi might go abroad, like back to France or whoever. But I don't know. Like I say, it is crazy, but I think they've got to make a certain amount of money, haven't they, before a certain time?
Not entirely sure. Dave, who's featured on the pod a couple of times and a keen listener, hello Dave, will have a slightly better understanding of that than me. I'm not sure what they've got to sell. I'm imagining they'll find something
But
else.
they must
Probably
they
not-
must have to
probably
sell.
another women's team.
Under 18s.
They've got to sell, like, say, like, Sterling is not going to get a game from now. Like, with
No.
Colwill starting to flourish a bit now, and I'll probably keep Fofana if I was them, because I think he's quite good.
He's always injured.
Toes in.
He is always injured.
Yeah,
I
toes
think
in.
The
But
problem
then Badley
is
Shield and Disassi, they've got to go.
they're getting 50 million, it looks like, from Adewake, which will be 0 book value when they come through. Sterling, you're not going to get a lot of money for.
No, they'll
15,
take
15,
they'll take a
10,
loss on
15.
him. I
João
guess, won't they?
Felix, not going to get a lot of money for.
I disagree. I think somehow they'll get a bit of money for him.
He's just not done well. in the
Yeah,
last
but there was some
4
foreign
years.
club will play.
I still
pay
think
for
with
him,
João
I still
Felix,
think.
like, he went from Benfica playing an exciting team, scoring a lot of goals, and I just don't think Simeone was the manager for him, because he's a very sit tight with getting on the counter. But then, like I say, well, on the opposite argument to that, now he's got Julian Alvarez, who's doing absolutely phenomenal for them.
Different player though, aren't
Yeah.
they? I think João Felix isn't an out and out
Yeah,
striker, whereas Julian Alvarez.
I just
is.
think he was such an exciting. I don't know. Was he another one of them players, a bit like a Rashford, too much too young? There's a lot of players like that.
Yeah, I think again Rashford's. Well, João Felix. Sorry, touch on João Felix still. He's not going to make a move into the Premier League. I'd be shocked if he makes a move to the Premier League.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think he'll go to Spain.
Or maybe a Villa. I think was he linked to
Yeah.
Villa in January?
He before he went to Chelsea, I think he was. Yeah, but I just don't think he didn't do anything at Milan.
No,
Um,
not been great at Chelsea.
No.
Struggled at Atletico.
Well, that was a surprise, anyway, because they loaned him. He didn't do great, and then they bought him anyway.
Who? What? Chelsea?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chelsea.
I think that wasn't that a panic buy. Wasn't it quite late in the window?
I can't remember, but I still think if you have a loan spell that doesn't really work out, you then don't buy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of teams have made done good loans and then buy, and then they've been poor and they were on the loan. But to have a loan that's poor and then still buy, it's baffling. But yeah, I think they'll get a bit of money for him. And I think he might get somewhere in Spain.
they've got enough players.
I think he'll suit Spain as well.
They probably make 100 million or so, can't they, from the player sales? But like, I don't know what sort of how much Sterling's got left on his contract. Is it?
Do you think
Two-
they
2,
could
3 years?
offer
Yeah.
Well, it's
United
Chelsea, it could be 7.
cash and Sterling for Rashford?
I don't think a top Premier League team. I don't think United aren't that at the moment, but I can't see many Premier League teams taking Sterling. Like his time at Arsenal, like at some points they're playing like other people on the wing. He's an experienced player. They rather play like a
They had
Ethan
Moreno up
Wanyero.
top, didn't they?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could have moved that around up there. Like Sterling.
Well, Sterling's played in the middle before.
Yeah, but every game he played for Arsenal, he just stunk it up, didn't he? Like
That's what I'm saying. He's played in the middle before. He could have been that striker for Arsenal when they were struggling. Still couldn't really get a game. Every time I saw him play, I thought he was underwhelming for Arsenal.
He's just his game is always, like I say, he's a getting behind winger, and he's lost that half yard of space now. And like I don't think it's just that. I still think like every year footballers going better athletes, and like you're getting like defenders aren't sluggish anymore. Like they're quick, and I think that just completely like annihilates his sort of game.
So I know we've already touched on United, but where do you think Rashford could end up? Because he's not invited on the pre-season tour.
He's,
a lot of them
he's
have been
brought back
invited.
to training, and he's been told to train on his own.
A lot of them have been told they're not part of the
I think there's 5
pre-season.
There
Like
was
Garnacho, Rashford,
Sancho, Anthony. I think there's one more, and I can't remember who it is.
I think they might get a right offer for Anthony now because he's done, even from a Spanish team.
Spain.
Yeah, he's done alright for them at Real Betis. And Garnacho, I've seen he was linked to Napoli a few times, but I just don't rate Garnacho. He's another player like bit of a Madueke.
He's got a goal in him, a special goal, but that's about it.
What was it last week? All fart, no poo.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't.
Garnacho's all just hair-dyeing arrogance.
I think Garnacho would be outstanding in a team that's fighting for Europe but not guaranteed to get it.
Yeah.
So if he went to
Brighton.
he won't drop to that level because he thinks he's better, but I think he would look outstanding in a team like that because he could also have a couple of off games and he wouldn't have that
theoretically then he suits United because he thinks United have got that big club aura but aren't actually up there anymore, so theoretically he suits him. But
I like Rashford. Like he's just one of them players. It's like you still got hope there's something in there because
the quality he showed early on.
Yeah.
And he's even if that is still there, it's still a good enough player to do something.
If he can play to his best, if he's still capable of it, he would be ideal for Arsenal on the left.
But even for like you boys though, like
he's too much money to come.
Yeah,
yeah, I know that. But like, even if he just come to like a team that counter attacking, just go sprinting. Like because Dele Alli was always that for me as well. Like there's quality in there, but it just went like it just was not there anymore.
Like, the thing is
Dele Alli started very young. I know Rashford did as well.
Yeah, I think the problem is when you're taking a hit, no footballer has the sense of mind to take that ego hit and go, do you know what, I need to drop down to work my place back and get my confidence back up. And look, if I'm not on 150 grand a week anymore, if I'm only on 90 grand a week, then there's going to have to be.
So you drop down, but then you're a key player for that team, and maybe they don't want that. I don't know.
It's a World Cup year though.
Exactly. I'd take the hit this year if I was in the Premier League. I'd take the hit and go to a team where I'm going to start, I'm going to play, I'm going to show my best football, and I can get in that World Cup squad. Because that's for me what it would be about. It'd be getting to the good side.
It looks like Grealish is making that kind of decision because he's making a lot of moves to get out of City. I'm assuming he's going to have to take a pay cut, maybe on loan. City will top it up. I'm not sure. Hopefully to Everton, but
I can't see it. I'd love him to be there, but I can't see it.
I'd love Jack Grealish just to come and play with that freedom again that he had at Villa.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to go back to Villa.
Going back to Pep, like it's all so robotic.
No, I don't want to go back to Villa.
Why?
Don't like Villa.
But that I think. Why don't you like Villa?
I don't like a lot of clubs.
I quite like Villa. Big traditional club, and I think I'd put them in the same sort of bracket as Everton. But,
no.
Who do you like? We could do a whole podcast on teams you don't like. And about
I like
a TikTok video on a team of
teams
that
Brighton.
you do.
Well, my Brighton then, very non-offensive.
See, I don't like Brighton.
I think there's going to be a lot of transfers this year because it's World Cup year. You're going to see players maybe, like I say, make that decision whether to go down
or just play for a team that's theoretically less successful to play and show you stuff.
So Rashford, Garnacho, Grealish, all left midfielders. We've said Arsenal are crying out for a left midfielder.
There's 3 options there for them. I think I say Rashford suits them the best.
I don't.
Potentially Grealish.
So
they're a very possession-heavy football team, and he's been under Pep for so long. And
I like to see
Arteta
Grealish go and play in
sort of
another 10 for someone.
Well, I was trying to think because obviously he has been linked with Everton. I don't want to just make it about Everton, but I don't know where. Obviously, he starts for Everton week in, week out. He'd start, but he would be great to see in that number 10.
I don't think he'd start in the first game. Moyes doesn't tend to do that. I think he'd build him in the first 3 or 4 games. But yes, I think after 3 or 4 games, he'd be first thing on team sheet. If he plays where he can.
If he came in before the tour of America, he would start the first game of the season.
If he has enough time to integrate himself,
that would be the
if he plays to the standard we know he can play, I would agree.
Well, if Villa has so much freedom, he'd take on a man, he'd shoot it from far out. And I just find when they go to a lot of players, they go to Pep and it's also robotic. But they've got to keep the ball.
It's almost like they get punished for risking.
Yeah.
If they risk possession, it's like they're going to be punished. They go, right, okay. Well,
we touched on it the other week, didn't we? Because Henri came out and said that.
Yeah.
Like he done something he thought was good, but it wasn't what Pep wanted, and he was sort of berated for it. But Pep is one of the best managers ever. Like,
I agree. But like I say, some of these exciting players like Grealish, I think he's ruined Grealish. Like he's probably technically a bit football savvy now and a bit smarter, but like what Grealish was at Villa, like he would take.
I think he was a victim of buying a player so that Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Liverpool didn't get that. I do think he's a victim of get him before he goes somewhere else and causes us too many problems.
No, I don't agree with that because I think the only other club he was linked with at the time was it United. I think he was linked with, and United weren't competing with City.
No, but I think you say linked, but then
Guardiola watched him play him up and he's seen him play a few times and thought, God, he could do. So if he could, I think Guardiola thought I could mould him into a perfect player, so that would play in the system, but still has that moment of not madness, but genius. But
I'd love to see Jack back in the England setup. I think
he plays a lot more free when he's played. Like he played the 2 games for Cardiff, didn't he? I think he scored in both games.
Ireland he definitely scored.
You see players play a lot more freely when they're not under Pep. Yeah. But I think it sounds like we're slating Pep, but yeah, Pep wins. But it'd be nice to see Grealish playing for. It'd be nice to see Rashford. If Rashford's on top of his game, he's an asset to England.
Yeah, I agree. I do like Rashford, and like I say, it's just just getting him back to because he doesn't look like he enjoys football at times. Like he was alright at Villa. I still wouldn't say he was good, but like I say, I think just need to find out a manager that's going to get the best out of him. Like I say, Klopp was always quite good at that, like getting the best out of like certain players. Like, but like I say, we all get on with different people, don't we? Like if he can just find that one manager, like say Alvin, that relationship is done. Like he's not going back there. Like he's
had his shirt number taken off him, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's like everything's.
Yeah, Kuno in it. Kuno's going number 10.
Who do you think Rashford could potentially go to then? Obviously Arsenal we've spoken about.
I'd like to see him at Arsenal. I think he'd do well at Arsenal. I think he suits there. I think it's a good enough club that
he won't. I agree, but he won't go there. Arsenal won't be interested in.
See, I think he's going to have to drop down more to a team like 6th to 10th maybe.
But he's
Spurs.
He's desperate to go to Barcelona. Yeah, they've just agreed a fee, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Kudus is a centre mid, isn't he?
No, he's a winger.
Is he a winger?
He can play number 10 on the
wing, right wing, not he?
I think Rashford's desperate to go to Barcelona, isn't he?
Who's that?
Rashford.
Yeah,
desperate to go to Barcelona. But they seem to be trying to sign other players, and Rashford, I think they've gone quite low down the order.
Probably.
And I think Rashford is living a little bit for these moves off what he'd done 3, 4, 5 years ago, and when he burst on and was impressive. I think.
I think Spurs are a good move for him as much as.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a bad move.
Well, then I think Solanke, if Johnson can have a push on from last season, and if Solanke can solidify himself and get some more goals, I think that's a decent front three for him.
How many
also our Brentford chat has been the last few weeks. Our Brentford chat the last few weeks, obviously Johan Wissa today is strongly linked to Spurs.
I don't understand that. What I do because it's Frank. But why would you spend that much money on Solanke and buy Wissa?
Wissa will play on the left for them.
Really?
Yes.
He played down the middle for Brentford, didn't he?
I'm sure.
And he got 16 goals?
Yeah, but shows he's adaptable. But I think he predominantly was a winger.
He got what? How many? 16 goals he got.
Yeah, it was
19.
Yeah. But Wimmer was.
I think 19
or 19 or 20. But I
think
Wimmer
got.
I'm sorry. If you've got that many goals as a central striker, I'm not moving him from that position. As a manager, I mean, you could score goals, you're staying there.
Well, if we can get that from the wing, then you've got potentially. Solanke scoring say 15 to 20. Wissa chucking in say 15 to 20. Who are they going to play on?
It's a big risk because if you put him out there and they don't work, and then neither of them are scoring, you've spent loads of money, bought 2 strikers, and playing that position.
It would work because he played there before. Yeah, he wasn't a striker to start with.
How many goals did he score there on the wing?
Who?
Wissa.
We just said 19.
No, he got 19 when he was a striker, then he's central striker.
Oh, sorry.
How many did he get when he was on the wing?
I don't know. But
I don't think he got anywhere near that
many. He was more of a sub though that season because it was Tony and Nguemo and.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think when he may be been a half decent, but if you go into the middle and you score that many goals for a team, I'll go, wow, this works.
Also, you got to think though, is Frank going to go and then maybe go with Solanke and Wissa up top?
So he got 12 goals the year before.
That's not bad as well.
And he's I didn't realise how old he was. He's 28.
Yeah, but he's still got probably a good.
28 is supposedly the peak, isn't it? That's the peak. You're playing your best football. You're physically old. You're physically adapted, you're physically old enough, you're also still malleable and young that you can, if you break something or twist it, you can recover quick enough.
It's still got 3 years out of him though, like a good 3 years out of him. If it
well, Son's sort of at the end.
I think Son needs to at best be a bench warmer now. I think you can't rely on Son anymore at Tottenham. I think it's too.
I think he was overplayed last season. I think you could see he was starting to slow down, and he needed someone else.
But he always flourished with his pace, and as soon as he starts to lose that, he's gonna stop being as effective.
They're get rid of Richarlison as well, aren't they? I've heard they'll take 20 million from him or something like that.
I don't know where he'll go though.
Spain maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say Spain.
Maybe.
I
don't think it'd suit Italy or Germany. So if he goes abroad, it'd have to be Spain.
If you could get him on loan, he'd be an asset to 12 to 13 teams in that league, easily.
What, Spain or?
No, in Premier League.
Oh, it's Premier League. Yeah, I'd say Spain would be more.
I know he had a few injuries last season, but I don't think Tottenham's medical staff helped with that at all. Look at the amount of injuries they got.
Yeah, and there's something wrong there.
But I think all the stuff come out is that their training was at 100 miles an hour constantly.
That's because they wanted him to play at that high press, and it just.
But then look at the injuries that caused it.
Yeah, I honestly think to a degree there's got to be something to do with the warm up. The amount of injuries that were, how many were
I'd
in
say
training?
training's probably more.
Yeah, but if they're getting injured in training.
But they were also bringing players back, and they weren't ready.
Yeah.
So that falls onto
them. They're such a rut, though, weren't they? So many injuries.
Van der Ven played 2 or 3 games and then got injured again.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's probably where rushing back, but if you rush them back, normally they go back in the first game. I mean, they pull up after 60, 70 minutes, or they like the.
But they were taking him in and out. I think Van der Ven was only playing like 45 minutes when he was brought back in.
I can't remember. I thought he was starting as soon as he came back in because he was. Tottenham fans think he's a God's gift to football.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's alright. He's no Branthwaite, but you know he's alright.
He's so quick as well.
He's quite quick, yeah.
I think that's
the key unit for a centre back nowadays. He needs to be quick.
So he gets stuck in though, doesn't he? He does fly in. I'd love a defender that.
I think. Kudos for them though. I think that is a great signing. I think on his day he's a great player.
Did you see what West Ham allegedly come back with the first offer? So I think they offered. Don't quote me on the exact figure. I think it was around 35 million with add-ons that would only kick in if they won the Premier League or the Champions League. And West Ham basically said, come back with a real offer. A serious offer.
Imagine that. Imagine going, look, if we win the Premier League, we'll pay you more. No, it's appearances and goals normally, isn't it?
I'm not a big fan of West Ham, but I thought that was brilliant. That was a great sort of reply. So it looks like now that deal's going through.
Yeah, that's what here we go anyway.
I don't trust Fabrizio still. I still can't get over what Fabrizio's done to me in the past.
If you keep slagging off people, you're going to have feuds on Twitter.
Yeah, you're going to know who we are. But although he does reply a lot, if you have a go at him, he does come back. So maybe I'll give it a go. But I think he's done great for himself, but he's almost ruined transfers to a point now, isn't he? You don't get many surprise transfers now.
You can be like go on Sky Sports and think, oh yes, my team just signed someone.
I know you
I always find that because there's so many times you've just he's linked with this club, and we've just signed that young lad Thiago Barry, but I didn't really see anyone else challenging us for him. I didn't see anyone else really linked with him, and that worries me when there's only one team trying for a player. Like, why is no one else going for him?
You don't know that.
No, but who else did you see he was linked with?
I think there was a fair bit of interest in him, but teams don't always act that quickly, and I think once you get to a certain point, teams think.
Once you've built a rapport with a player, I can see what you mean. But still, if a player's that good, another team will come in. Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's 22, so any young player's a gamble. I think a lot of teams, if someone's already semi, there's it's a young player, it's a gamble, go for it. But
back in the day when we were a bit younger, you'd see like Everton in advanced talks with Watford for Richarlison, and that'd be the first you sort of saw of it, and you'd think, cool, here we go, this is exciting. Now you've got initial talks have started, talks underway, players agreed, here we go soon, here we go, announced. Like you've got 6, 7, 8 steps.
It's more a case now of it's the twist, isn't it? It's the shocks, it's
greatest one of that was Spurs pay for Willian to come over.
That was it. Spurs have had a few of them, haven't they? Because who else did it to Spurs? Because Willian obviously done everything and then went straight to Chelsea. Who else? A couple of players have done it.
I don't think anyone had the same as Willian, where like you said, Spurs flew him over, Liverpool did his medical, signed for Chelsea. I think that's quite spectacular. Although Tottenham done that to us with Danjuma.
Yeah, the first time
was all but done, and then he signed for them.
Yeah.
Can't say though, Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yeah,
and Lavia.
that's
Lavia,
more
yeah.
of what it is now. It's not like, oh my god, we're in sort of that player that and it'll be done in a day. It's now, oh, he's talking to him, he's talking to them. It's
I just find myself getting anxiety now when we're linked to a player. I'm like, when is this going to go wrong? Like when you only heard about
it's just
it
not going to be
a
very
couple
good. It's
of
a waste
days.
of
I
time.
thought, I don't believe it now until they're lifting up the shirt.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't believe until I saw him wearing that shirt today that he was going to sign for us. I was like, that won't happen. But yeah, it's now a case of everyone said he's linked with this club, and it's now a case of which one's going to get him. Like, and Mbeumo's still torn between directly Spurs and Man
I was
United.
going to say, in Mbeumo, you've heard about him for the last 3-4 weeks. James McAtee from City's been linked with
a few clubs, isn't he?
Lots
Us
of
included.
clubs, yeah. Grealish again.
Yeah.
So Rashford. You've got
Carl
so
Walker's
many
just gone
teams.
to Burnley, but he was linked with
He's
us
linked
and
with
a couple
everyone.
and Leeds as
Yeah.
well, or something else.
Like I
Yeah.
said, again, there's just so many links though, because like I said, because of this World Cup year, like I said, there's gonna be so many good transfers. Like I think just to the final, I think even like deadline day, it could be like a all-time deadline day.
I miss old deadline day, like because of this whole, like I say, it's getting ruined. There's no surprise at deadline. Do you remember Andre Arshavin on one of my
Didn't
that
it
window
get
was
delayed
my,
for snow?
yeah, that was one of my favourite transfer windows because it was I was like up until gone midnight because there was still things like Arshavin
Harry
came.
Redknapp in his Range Rovers.
There was so many others in that window. I can't remember who else was it. Was it? Did Adebayor go in that window as well, or someone else?
I'd say you might have gone Tottenham in that window.
I can't remember. There was like 4 or 5 transfer windows on that day, and it was brilliant.
Watch
That
his
was
Sky Sports
such-
News. Presenters getting dildos put in their hair.
That's the great Alan Myers that happened to. What I would say is if we can get enough interest, maybe we'll live stream a couple of hours or an hour of deadline day and see if we can add a bit of flavour, a bit of excitement to it.
Or bet on who's going where.
Yeah, I mean we can talk some shit, I'd imagine, about it.
This is the whole thing we're doing, then, isn't it?
Yeah, but we can spice that deadline day because it's not as exciting as it was. Maybe we can all stick a yellow tie on and make up some bullshit and see if we can get some traction with it.
Take a picture of Stormzy and say Lukaku signed for Inter again.
Yeah, that was. I think it's for United, wasn't it?
He was at
Stormzy
United,
in a United. No, Stormzy in a United shirt, and I think it wasn't foreign media that put him in, but
yeah,
let's not go. We're not going to do that. I think deadline day should be exciting, but like we've just said, you're probably going to know about 90% of what's going to happen. 2 weeks before.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a shame really because you did love that whole deadline day drama of like at 6 p.m. you hear about someone going somewhere and by 10 o'clock it might be happening and they're closing on 1 hour to get their paperwork in.
Turning up at QPR trying to sign for him on West Brom said you're not going anywhere. You don't get that kind of drama now.
No.
Also looks like Newcastle got their first signing, Anthony Elanga, 55 million.
I think it's a good signing.
I think it's a good signing.
I think it's a good player.
I don't think it's a good signing, but I think
Forest has done some good work there. How much did they sign him for Man United? Was it 5 million?
15.
Or 15 was it?
15.
Still, they've made what? How long was he there? 2 seasons?
yeah, it's 40 million. That is.
So what do you think, Chalky?
I do think it's a little bit high. Was it 6 goals, 12 assists last year?
So 18 goal involvement.
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but in this day and age, it's probably a fair price. But I just think
He's only
there's
young.
a lot of players.
He's quite young, but also didn't he have a lot of goals from set pieces?
I think
not as many as like Arsenal
I
stuff.
think he was corner taker.
Was he corner taker?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought Gibbs White was mainly corner taker.
So
Because I know
only think
obviously
that
Woods got most of his goals from free kick set pieces and obviously balls in the box. And
So he got 6 goals, 11 assists.
11 was it? Yeah.
17. So yeah, I mean he's. But I will say as well, some of the goals he got were important goals in big moments.
Yeah.
That goal against Man United.
So his
Size.
pace is massive for him, isn't it? And if Newcastle can then have a front three of Gordon, Isak, and Elanga, that is rapid.
That is a
And
rapid.
Jacob Murphy, I think he had a purple patch now and again. He can back up.
Yeah,
he's
he
a
was
good
You
solid
got
player.
Harvey Barnes, another good backup.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't mind. I don't think he's
So-
a bit overrated. Harvey Barnes. He's all right, but I've never watched him and gone, "Cool, what a player!" But
He always seems to score.
he pops up.
Just always seems to
The
score.
thing is, though, he's probably not going to be a starter.
I'll say always.
As
He's
a
got
backup,
he's
he's
got
quite
6
good.
goals this year, didn't he? Or last season? Not many. Admittedly from the bench, but
I think he's a good
struggles
backup.
with
I think he's a good backup.
he does
to have,
struggle with
though.
fitness. That for me is massive for a player. Is how often can you play?
Yep.
There's so many players that are.
So he got 9 goals, 4 assists, and 30.
Okay, that is quite good from the bench, yeah. Because it was a lot. Well, he
He was
starting
starting
for a little while because Gordon was injured, yeah. But yeah, I mean,
But he had a purple patch about 4 or 5 games where he knocked
Newcastle.
in a few, didn't
I honestly think Newcastle will just need, like I said, that little bit more depth, and I think they could really challenge because I think their midfield is so strong. That Joe Linton, Guimaraes, and Tonali. I think that's
I think
strong...
Tonali and Guimaraes are brilliant. I think Yellington hate him because he's such a dirty player. But you need one of them in.
Joe Linton
he's just a destroyer, isn't he?
Joe Linton is the classic. If he's on your team, you love
him.
Yeah.
If he's against you, you hate him.
Yeah, absolutely hate him.
I hate him. I love watching
he gets away with bloody murder. But
I'm not a big fan of his, but he's one hell of a player, to be fair to him.
I think he's an athlete. He's strong and he's quick, and I think he does the dirty well when he needs to do it.
Was it Eddie Howe that brought him into midfield?
It was, because they signed him for 50 million or 40 million.
Yeah, from Hoffenheim.
From Hoffenheim, yeah, for a striker, and he scored one really nice finish against Spurs, and they did nothing for about another year.
But to recognise that, to say, I reckon you're like try centre mid from like being that striker, and I think he's done.
I think a lot of strikers do make that though. They do make good centre mids because they're used to the battle, the tackle. They do make good holding mids.
Yeah.
If they can't score, they just put them in holding mids, and they've got the ball control to do it. They can just be that workhorse.
I think their midfield's strong. I think they've just sent Sean Longstaff to Leeds, I believe, 12 mil or something. Which I think is a good sign for Leeds.
I'd have actually liked to see him at Everton as a
really?
squad player. Yeah. As a
I
squad
didn't
player.
think he was. I don't want to sign players out for squad, but I want a bit more quality.
You're not going to get someone of much more quality coming in.
But I think their midfield three.
I don't rate him.
I think their midfield three is right up there in the Premier League with midfields.
They've got to keep hold of their players, haven't they?
Yeah, I think I'd say keeping hold of Tonali is the most important. I know Guimaraes is good, but I meant their midfield.
Yeah,
obviously Isak, but at their three midfield, I would say Tonali is the most. I'd say Guimaraes is much more fancy on the ball, but I think Tonali is more important.
I think they only got Tonali because there was whispers and rumours in the footballing world. I mean, I don't know this, I'm guessing that he was going to get banned. So clubs didn't want to take the risk on him and lose him for a year.
Even
Newcastle did. Yeah. And it's now paying sort of dividends.
He got suspended for a little bit, didn't he? Or did he not?
So like 9 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, 9 months.
Yeah. He missed most of the first season.
Yeah,
but he came back in January, did he? Or
I thought it was start of this season, but I might be wrong.
But he was. I think he's a good midfielder.
Yeah, he is.
But like I said, they need that little bit more squad because losing Sean Longstaff at 12 million is not a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they need to strengthen that. So we've also got Joe Willock. He's not bad back up in there, but he's not going to win you anything. I can't think of who else I've got in there now.
In midfield.
So
Joe Willock's what I think of.
They have Joe Linton. They have obviously.
Yeah, they got their starting three.
The first like Tonali, Guimaraes, and Joe Linton.
Willock. They did have Sean Longstaff.
Yeah, but he's gone.
So this was probably
that's what I mean.
Newcastle.
They got that Lewis Miley, but he's a youngster, isn't he?
Don't know. Where did they get Longstaff from? Or
I think squad.
Youth academy.
I thought it was youth. So it's 12 million, but it's 12 million for like today. It's nothing on the books on 12 million plus, isn't it? So
it does make you want to will they go and sell one of Harvey Barnes or Jacob Murphy to make a bit more money, or do they? I've seen them linked with that. I can't say his name, the French striker from Frankfurt. But 80 million he's been rumoured for.
Nketiah.
Yeah, Nketiah, something like that. Yeah. Like he's like linked with 80 million transfer because he's been linked with Liverpool as well. But like, are Newcastle going to buy a backup striker or for £80 million? I don't think so.
No, you want a backup striker is ideally you want to buy a young like a 19, 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Because how old is Isak? He's 25, isn't he? Is he a bit older?
No, he's 27.
He's 27.
Maybe.
So you want to buy a 22-year-old at oldest for a backup striker.
I think he's coming up 27 at the start of the season. I think I read, but because they were saying like, will he try and force this move to Liverpool or another big club? Because
Newcastle not a big club.
Bigger club.
No is the answer to that, Chalky. Anyway, we can upset a few Newcastle fans.
Yeah,
they're not big. They're not big south of.
Yeah, they're probably not going to win the league. They might go somewhere in the Champions League. But like, is he going to try and get that move so he can go and try and win trophies for like a Liverpool or Arsenal or anyone like that? I don't think Arsenal now because they're signing Gokares by looks at it. But
I don't think Arsenal had the.
Obviously, Liverpool won the league last year and they've got history in the Champions League and things like that. Is he going to go there and think, I can be the man there? Like, because he might, if he's 27 now, another couple of years, he's not going to be the player he is now. It's a risky game. Obviously, it's a risk again because it's World Cup year.
No,
is he going to stay where he's settled, or is he going to take that risk? And like I say, if they sign a striker for 80 million, like you're not going to want to.
I don't think Isak's worried about getting into his World Cup squad. I think he's probably guaranteed to get into. I think is it Sweden?
Sweden.
I don't think Sweden have got many players that will.
Gokarit.
Yeah.
They're not going to drop Isak. They're playing both, wouldn't they?
I'd imagine they'll play both. I imagine Isak will be pushed.
I think the
out.
Gokarit was Swedish, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a decent
think,
strike force for them, isn't it?
It's not bad.
It's
Just-
worse.
Just before we end tonight, we are going to do a live stream next week of the podcast. So if you guys could tune in, we'll be doing it on YouTube and TikTok. But again, before we go, we just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, all the new followers on the different platforms. And if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed or followed, please give us a follow or a subscribe. Even a like on the video, it does really help us out. We'll put a bit more information out on this live next week. I think we've got 5 of us here next week for it.
Potentially, yeah.
So we may do sort of most of the podcast and something a little bit different. But again, we'll put more information out on our socials. So thank you very much for watching, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
If you are liking the content here at the Armchairs View, then please drop us a follow and give us a like. We would really appreciate it.